What's good, everybody? Damian Lillard is headed to the Milwaukee Bucks. But how does this move affect the Eastern Conference? How does it affect the Wizards? And should the Wizards been the third team in the deal? Let's talk about it. Let's chop it up tonight. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again with my guy, the real Ed Oliver. Thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Now, trade has finally happened on the Damian Lillard front. Damian Lillard is headed to Milwaukee, so we're going to look at the trade real quick, and we're going to talk about how does it affect the Eastern Conference. Are they the top team? Is Boston the top team? We're going to talk about it. Then, how does it affect the Washington Wizards? And should they have been the third team in the trade to offload some of these expiring deals and get some of these young guys playing minutes? We're going to talk about it. But looking at the trade real quick, the Milwaukee Bucks received Damian Lillard. The Portland Trailblazers get Drew Holiday, which he's probably going to be reflipped, DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamara, a 2029 first-round pick, and a pick swap. And the Phoenix Suns get Yusuf Nurkic, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. So real quick, who won the trade, and does this make the Milwaukee Bucks the favorites to come out of the East?
Yeah, I think the Bucks won the trade. I think they got the best player in the trade in Damian Lillard. Giannis there's a bunch of rumors and reports that he may not sign an extension or he may be looking elsewhere after a few years. I got to look at his contract and see how many years are left in his contract. But he was basically putting their feet to the fire and putting a lot of pressure on their front office. He kind of did what we wanted the Wizards to do when they had John Wall. John Wall was asking for Paul George and just asking for more talent at that time. And the Bucks came through and they pulled through for Giannis. Now, the Wizards missed out. They did try to get Kevin Durant at the time. They missed out. They whiffed on him. They whiffed on Al Horford. But the Bucks, they made something happen. And it's so funny how these trades always happen. Like, the Heat were connected this whole time. There's reports that Damian Lillard would not, if he was not traded to the Heat, he would request a trade to the Heat. So he was playing hardball. So Jimmy Butler went on Instagram or went on social media and said that there was tampering. And, he said the NBA needs to investigate the Bucks. So I don't know what conversations were had. I guess Damian Lillard might have had a conversation with Giannis. Giannis probably recruited him. Players talk at this time. It's the offseason. So it's a good move for the Bucks, man. I know Drew Holiday's a good player, but he was talking about retiring. So you get a guy in Damian Lillard who is just an offensive juggernaut. You know how clutch he is, Dame time. Always point at the clock on his hand. So they're going to be a nasty duo. They are. And they keep Chris Middleton. They keep Brook Lopez. They have Bobby Portis off the bench. They did trade Grayson Allen, but they still have depth. They still have talent on the roster. They still have guys that can defend and play around Giannis. They got shooters around Giannis. So that team is going to be really, really good, man. It's going to be nasty that they have a top 10 player in Damian Lillard, and then you have an MVP candidate in Giannis, and you still have a really good all-star caliber player at times in Chris Middleton. When he's healthy, he's clutch as well. So, but yeah, looking at the Suns, they got Nurkic. They just wanted to move on from Ayton. Ayton, it just didn't work out there. He's had a solid career, but he hasn't lived up to the number one pick. Of course, Luka being drafted after him and Trae Young. So those guys have just had better careers. And, he was on the bench in the playoffs. He got benched in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Monty Williams benched him in the playoffs. Landale was getting more playing time than him. So they got some depth with Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, Grayson Allen. And then the Blazers, they start their rebuild with Scoot Henderson. Like you said, they're going to move Drew Holiday. Tumani Kamara, they got a first-round pick. You think they would get more from Damian Lillard a little bit, but I think Drew Holiday, you can flip him for possibly a first-round pick. DeAndre Ayton, he's a big that can work out with Scoot Henderson. If they don't really like DeAndre Ayton, I still think you can flip DeAndre Ayton for a first possibly. So, yes, the Bucks are everybody's looking up at the Bucks right now. The Bucks won the championship 2 or 3 years ago. They got Dame Lillard. They did improve. And they got a clutch guy that can shoot the ball now. Now they can't really hack at Giannis. Giannis can give the ball up to Dame in the clutch to finish games for them. So, and that can be the separation against the Miami Heat because they struggled against the Heat. They lost to the Heat when Giannis went down. They just didn't really have an answer. Now, if Giannis does miss a game or two in the series, I think Damian Lillard is a guy that can carry them past the Heat. I think they're better than the Celtics right now. So it's really just, and they surpassed the Sixers too. I think they're better than the Sixers. I think they're at the top of the East right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that everybody wins because I think it kind of fits everybody's timeline, right? I mean, if you look at the Bucks, like you said, with Giannis kind of up in the air whether he's going to sign an extension or not, you needed a marquee guy to be his running mate, right? Damian Lillard is that guy. I mean, the guy literally can shoot from the logo, man. Like, I mean, he's just that electric guy, man. Looking at the Blazers side of things, yeah, I'd see them reflipping Drew Holiday, but DeAndre Ayton is still really young, man, and he could be that center of the future for a young team because if you look at Portland now, Scoot Henderson at the point, shit is sharp. I mean, Anthony Simons. I mean, it's not bare out there. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Grant, whether Grant is still part of the, Jeremy Grant is still part of the long-term vision. But they have very intriguing young roster, man. So it fits your timeline. And, looking at the Suns, obviously with the real deal going over to Phoenix and forming the big three, they're trying to fill out the bench. And, Nurkic is going to be a solid center for them, not if he can stay healthy. Grayson Allen is definitely a guy who is a 3-and-D guy. Nazir Little can play. And Keon Johnson is an intriguing young guy. So I think everybody won. Now, looking at the Bucks, does it make them the favorite in the East? I don't know yet. I don't know how the fit's going to be with, they're definitely a better team. Dame Lillard is box office, man. I mean, he's just the guy can score. He's got the moxie. He's going to fit in well with Giannis, man. But defensively, they do take a slight step back. Drew Holiday was a better defender, not a better player, but a better defender. Their bench, Grayson Allen is gonna be a hit. Because if you look at their bench, who really fills out the bench now? Connaughton, because you expect the two guard is probably gonna be Malik Beasley. Middleton at the 3, Giannis at the 4, and then so Brook Lopez like you said, Bobby Porter 6 man. So but they took a slight hit in the bench as far as depth, which, in championship teams, man, depth is power. But I think in the long run, it's a really, really good deal for Milwaukee. I think it's going to, because obviously they're trying to get the Greek Freak to stay in Milwaukee. I get it. And, like you said, every trade's got that dark horse. They said this last week, there's that one team that is interested, and everybody's waiting on who it was. And so I think it's a solid pickup. I think everybody wins. But looking at the East, how do they match up with Boston? We'll see. How do they match up against Philly? We'll see. I mean, because James Harden could be the next domino to fall. There's still a little friction in Philadelphia, so we may see a deal that sending him to the Clippers or wherever it may be. So, but they're definitely in the talk as far as the top 3 in the East. Now, you mentioned we were talking about before the show, man. You mentioned Miami. Oh man, it echoes the Knicks for Donovan Mitchell, man. We were talking about it. That deal that just. Pat Riley's hard, man, but I think this deal could come back to haunt them, man, because I thought that Lillard could have been that final piece for a finals run, especially teaming up with Jimmy Butler and the entourage there in Miami. So, yeah, everybody wins, but it's gonna be interesting how this top 3 to top 5 teams in the East really shake up. Does Philly make a deal with James Harden? But they're definitely a better team. This is gonna be fun to watch. The Greek Freak, Damian Lillard. So yeah, I agree. The Bucks out of everybody, I guess they win the most because of the talent, but everybody wins. Everybody got what they needed as far as their timeline. So we're gonna ask the question: how does this affect the Wizards though? And should the Wizards have been that team, that third team, that offload these expiring deals? We're gonna talk about that next. Before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by DoorDash Grocery. Missing the syrup for your pancakes or just ran out of your favorite coffee creamer? With DoorDash Grocery Delivery, you can get what you want right when you need it. Love the convenience of getting what you want right to your door. With DoorDash Grocery Delivery, you can stock up for a week or so and order last-minute cravings conveniently. Burn your last piece of toast? Avocado's gone bad? Or is the hot sauce bottle empty? Try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered when you need it right to your door. If you trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites, now you can get grocery delivery that actually delivers too. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. Want even more value? You can save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 delivery free on all eligible orders with Door or Dash Pass membership. So get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to $20 value when you use code LOCKEDON at checkout. Limited time offer. Terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and $0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter promo code LOCKEDON. Don't forget, that's code LOCKEDON for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. And Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Every day is tomorrow. We are going to do a look at the depth chart and see how everything shakes up. How many minutes does Shemet get? Where does Johnny Davis and Bilal Coulibaly fall into place? We're going to talk about that and more next episode. So let's get into it now. Looking at the Wizards, obviously, we just reacted to the press conference from Michael Winger and Will Dawkins about development being the key. There is a rebuild. So, if at all, how does this trade affect the Washington Wizards going forward?
Well, yeah, we talked about us being a third team, or the Heat having interest in Landry Shamet and Danilo Gallinari and some of our veterans. So that's this was the trade for it to happen. So that kind of tells. And I was saying that I didn't think that they were going to trade any of the veterans before the season started. You just kind of listen to Will Dawkins and him talk, and I just had the vibes that they weren't going to trade any of them. So now the only way it could happen is if James Harden gets traded, and I think it's going to take a little bit longer with James. I think that situation may get drawn out. We'll see, because training camp starts, media day starts. It could get toxic. The whole Daryl Morey is a liar thing, so it's a toxic situation. They may not want to be around it. They may try to just move him as quickly as possible. We don't know if he's going to come in overweight. So there's a lot of factors with James Harden. He's definitely going to do what he can to get himself out of there and make it an uncomfortable situation. So, it's looking tougher. I think that was our opportunity to possibly move Shamet or possibly move Gallinari just to be tacked on as a third team. The Suns took advantage of that. They came in. They wanted to move Ayton. I think we missed our opportunity with that. I think they'll find a way to move guys and get some assets for some of the veterans. That was our opportunity, and they made moves elsewhere. With the Bucks jumping in there, it kind of made it weird and wonky. So it wasn't, because in the Heat, they just played hardball. That Pat Riley, he just really values his guys. He values Tyler Hero so much. He acts like Tyler Hero is the next coming to Michael Jordan or something. Like, his trade value is so high to the point where he won't even throw him in a Damian Lillard. He just plays hardball too much. He was playing hardball with Bradley Beal, and the Suns came out of nowhere. So it's really Pat Riley's fault that the Heat haven't really improved. He has opportunities to get better guys in there, but he plays hardball. Because he didn't want to put Nikola Jovic in the trade deal for Bradley Beal. That was the reports, and even Haywood Highsmith, he was hesitant to put Haywood Highsmith in the trade. That's how much of hardball Pat Riley was playing. So Jimmy Butler, he shouldn't be mad about tampering. He should just look at his front office right now and just see that they're really coveting their guys a little too much. But to answer your question, I think that was our best opportunity to move guys earlier than the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, if there was a chance for us to flip some of these expiring deals, deal for Damian Lillard or James Harden was definitely the opportunity to do so. So I think we missed an opportunity, because we're still, we often talk about before the deadline, after the deadline, we got to let we got to let the play of some of these expiring deals unfold to the deadline to really move them at this point. Now, James Harden could still get moved, and we can still try to be that third team, but I just think we're set right now till the deadline. But how does it affect us long term? In the short term, not so much. Look, we're rebuilding. We weren't trying to compete, so it's not like it really does anything to us in the short term. But the long term, if you look at a lot of these top teams in the East, man, they're getting older, or they're going to be facing difficult choices within the next 3 years. And if you look at the timeline, for us to emerge in the future as a team to contend, I think it meets the timeline. Look at Milwaukee. Giannis ain't getting younger. Damian Lillard, man, he's getting up there. So this is his last chance to try to get a ring. If you look at other teams like Boston, are they going to be able to afford Jason Tatum? They gave Brown the Supermax. What's that say about Tatum and his extension? I think there's questions, especially 76ers. If they move James Harden, what's the timeline of Embiid wants to get moved? Because look, we were talking before, man, the process, that rebuild, have they really got any results out of that? At what point does Embiid want to get moved, man? Because they tried and tried and tried, so right now I think this is a perfect move to a certain degree for the Wizards, because look, these top teams are getting older, and there's going to be a lot of changes. So we're in a rebuild. It doesn't affect us too much, but going forward, you very well could see the hierarchy of the Eastern Conference change within the next 3 to 4 years. And, with proper development, the Wizards could be that team to take that jump. So that's how I see him kind of affecting the Wizards long term. But yeah, they definitely should have. In my opinion, I'm with you, man. They should have been the third team. Shamet, we got to see what we've got in Johnny, man. It's Johnny because Johnny this year, in my opinion, is going to dictate whether he's a part of this organization next year. This is a showing out party for him. Bilal, the first draft pick for this new front office, they got to get him minutes. So there's a lot of, they got to make moves, man, eventually. Not saying they got to do it now, but these aspirants are going to get moved at some point. So whether they're waiting on the right deal, but James Harden, look, if there's a chance that he gets traded, they need to get on the phone and they need to be that third team or fourth team. And they need to be involved because to me, Lance Schmidt, he can play, but look, it's a rebuild. I'm trying to move them and see what Johnny, because my emphasis is seeing what Johnny Davis could do. Because if he ain't it, then we got to see what we can do as far as getting some kind of value out of him, or maybe throwing him into a trade. Because look, it's a rebuild, man. It's a valuation. So that's where I'm at. I'm with you, man. We should have definitely been the third team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have liked for that to happen, but I think they probably looked at our guys and they didn't really value them much. Now you look at the trade right here. I know Nasir Little was involved. Nasir Little, he's an okay player. I think he's a good bench depth piece. Same thing with Keon Johnson. He's a young developing player. He's a good depth piece as well. And Grayson Allen is a good defender as well. So those guys, they're fine players. And the guys that we got, they're kind of middle tier players as well. So I think they could have been thrown in. But the thing is, the Blazers got Ayton. And the Suns got Nurkic. So they if it was us, they probably would have had to ask for Gafford, but they're like our guys just don't have much trade value. They really don't. That's the thing. And I'm not saying that Nasir Little has a bunch of trade value and Keon Johnson, but I think they're looking at our guys and they just weren't appealing to them as much as some of the other offers that they had. So that's the thing against us as well. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with James Harden. Some might cook up out of nowhere, some random team, because it's been the Clippers the whole time. You never know. Some random team might try to get him. I know Mark Spears came out with a report saying that Damian Lillard was open to playing for Brooklyn after the trade talks went nowhere. So you just never know who's lurking behind the scenes, what teams are talking about behind the scenes. So there may be a mystery team looking for James Harden's services. So, yeah, I mean, the Bucks right now, they are the top team in the Eastern Conference. The Celtics are up there. The Heat are still up there. They're still respectable. So I think they're still always going to be competitive. The Sixers, I think Damian Lillard would have been a good fit with Joel Embiid. I think that would have been a great fit. I think that would have been a better fit than James Harden, really, because you have a guy that's been clutch more consistently than James Harden. So I really thought the Sixers should have went hard for Damian. If they could have, I thought they should have tried to make a move to make Joel Embiid happy.
Yeah, I agree with that too. That would have been a nice matchup, especially with Maxey over there, man. It's going to be interesting because Tobias Harris is going to be part of any deal.
Oh yeah,
Philly, man. So who's willing to take on? I mean, it's expiring contract. So and that's another thing, man. Expiring deals get you picks. So I mean, I'm willing to sit through a year Tobias Harris for a pick or two, man. I'm just saying. So real quick before we roll, man, looking at the Western Conference real quick, do you think this trade boosts the contender status of the Phoenix Suns? Because obviously we know the real deal's over there now,
right?
And then with that big three, over there, and they've really had to fill out that bench using league minimums and here and that. Do you think this move solidifies them as a favorite in the West, or you still think it's between the Warriors or the Nuggets?
That's a good question. They haven't. I'm trying to look at a Phoenix Suns depth chart just to look at their roster right now. ESPN has not updated it yet, but that bad man in Denver, Nikola Jokic, they just don't have an answer for him, and Nurkic certainly is not going to slow down Jokic at all. Jokic put up video game numbers against the Suns in the playoffs. The Suns, they were putting up some video game numbers too. They had some very, very high scoring games in the playoffs, but man, they still don't have an answer for Nikola Jokic and Devin Booker as well. I mean, sorry, not Devin, Jamal Murray. If he plays the way that he did last year, then the Nuggets certainly will have another chance to repeat. But yeah, I mean, the Suns, I think they did get better only because they got some more depth and just the Ayton and Suns relationship. It just wasn't going. It was going nowhere fast.
Yeah.
So I think they did need to make a move. So, but they have a good roster, man. They got Eric Gordon come off the bench. Just looking at their roster, I thought that was a good pickup. I thought they made a couple of good moves. They got Yuta Watanabe. I think he's a good player off the bench. Kid beats Diop. I mean, he's okay. He's not bad as a backup. And they got our guy Jordan Goodwin. He should be a good backup point. And Bol, I think that is a good pickup. I thought that was a good pickup. Drew Eubanks is a solid guy off the bench. Bradley Beal playing point guard is really going to be funny. That's going to be hilarious just seeing that. I think Devin Booker, honestly, would be the better guy to play point guard because of the turnovers. We've seen it in the clutch as well. So I think Devin Booker would be the better option at point. And then Kevin Durant's 35. You said these guys are not getting any younger. That is true. I did not know that Kevin Durant was 35. I did not even realize that he's that old. He's 34 right now, but he's going to turn 35 in 2 days. September 29th is his birthday. So, yeah, their window is pretty short. I mean, Brad is still young. He's 30. Devin Booker's still young, but their window, they're in it to win it. They got these big contracts: KD, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. They are in it to win it right now. So it's a make or break season for them for sure.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think they're definitely better. They definitely solidified at the bench, man.
And they got Grayson Allen too, right?
Yeah, they got Grayson Allen.
Okay, there's just so many moving parts. So they got a good defender, and I want to say, let me see if they still got Okogie because it's just so much going on. I didn't really get to see much of the trade.
I think Okogie starts at the 3.
Okogie, okay, so Josh Okogie's on the right. So they still have better defenders, good defenders that can help Brad. You got Okogie that can help Brad defensively, and Devin Booker. You got Grayson Allen that can play defense as well. So you got some guys that are looking to defend it. Jordan Goodwin too. He's a guy that can defend too. So they got some defenders. They did improve. They got better.
Yeah, they definitely got better, man. It's just they got to find a point guard. I don't know if I sit well with Brad being the point man. It's just it's one thing to bounce the ball off your foot when it's just local, but when it's on national televised games, man. Look, right. I'm just saying, and I ain't gonna get on Brad. Ain't gotta do that no more. But I just think they need a point guard. But yeah, I think, like I said, before we roll, man, everybody won that trade. Everybody, they got what they needed according to their timeline. Mm-hmm. So Milwaukee and Phoenix, there's still that window it's closing a little bit for both of them. But Portland, man, 3 to 4 years, man, Portland's gonna be a nasty in the Western Conference, man. Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson. So, there's a lot of interesting pieces in Portland, man. It definitely fits their timeline. So, we're gonna go ahead and roll there. Definitely comment below and let us know what you guys think of the trade. Should the Wizards been a third team in this move? What do you guys think? Definitely let us know. Wherever you get your podcast, 5-star review is much appreciated. And subscribe, hit that notification button, let you guys know when we drop a new episode. So definitely hit that notification button. So again, let us know what you guys think about the trade. But again, hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys next time.